Good morning. I'm Sadie Leonard, and I went to Rivertown, Salkehatchie, but I'm going to kind of tell y'all more about how it makes you feel, because she went through what we did on the site. So I had like 2 Salkehatchie experiences. I was a camper at Rivertown, but I helped out at like Creekfront Salk. I was the camp photographer, but and I got to know, you kind of get to know the campers from both. Like I got to know the Rivertown campers and the Creekfront, but let me tell you something. Creekfront Salkehatchie brings some of the most good-looking young boys I have ever seen. Like, I mean gorgeous. I don't know how to explain them, but there's just something about them. But these young men who were here brought me some embarrassment. It happened when we went to Gordon Chapel AME, where Creekfront went one night for dinner and devotion. I was asked to talk a little bit to the AME church and the Salkehatchie about Creekfront, or about Salkehatchie in general, and which I was very glad to do so. So I got up to speak, and I made the mistake of looking right at those good-looking boys. And I froze. And for about 2 minutes, I tried to say something, but I stood up there and I was like, it was not very fun. But then after that embarrassing moment, I finally said 3 words. I said, Salkehatchie is love. And then I just sat down feeling very embarrassed, but that's besides the point. Little did I know at the time, those 3 words represent the heart of Salkehatchie. Here, I'll give y'all like a little example. At Rivertown, there was like a lot of kids, but there was this little girl I really got close to. Her name was Jasmine. She was 3, and that first day, I came up to her and I picked her up, and she looked me right in the eyes and she goes, "I love you." And her little brother did the same thing too, and that's just one specific example. I could stand up here for all day and tell y'all many examples. But what I want you to get out of this is Salkehatchie is love. From one camper to another, from the campers to the homeowners, from the homeowners to the campers, and it is love from everyone to God and from God. So that's what I wanted you to learn here today, is Salkehatchie is love.
Good morning. When I decided to go on the high school mission trip this summer, I had no idea how much it would actually impact my life. I went and I had in my mind that this is just a normal trip. I'm gonna go help spread Jesus, but really, it opened my eyes and I got to see how other people live in a different part of South Carolina and North Carolina. So when I went, we got to go to Carowinds, which is always fun. It was my first time. I got over my fear of roller coasters, but... And then we finally got to go and help with the actual mission trip. We went to a place called the Crisis Center. And at the Crisis Center, I got to see how we can help others. And there were so many people who have been in house fires and a bunch of tragedies. And through Jesus Christ, we got to help them. And that was one of my favorite parts. And I wanted to thank everyone who contributed to the trip, because I found Jesus in myself again, and I know others did too. So thank you.
Good morning. You know, the longer I live, the less I believe in coincidences. I noticed that the hymn of blessing this morning is Jesus' hands were kind hands. And that's kind of what I want to talk about this morning. When my alarm went off bright and early on the morning of Saturday, June the 17th, I have to be honest with you, I rolled over, cut it off so Ashley wouldn't fuss at me, and said, Lord, just get me through these next 7 days. Just help me grin and bear it, get through it, and I'll be back next Saturday, back in my own little world, back in my own little comfort zone, doing my thing. But I have to tell you, a week later, I woke up on the floor in a church in Summerville, South Carolina, and said to myself, Lord, I can't wait to get back here next year. Maybe, just maybe, when we are doing what God has asked us to do, then we should feel whole and complete on the inside. There are many scriptures in the Bible that require and challenge us to be the hands and feet of God. That we are to open our hearts and open our minds and do what we can for other people. But oftentimes, being the hands and feet of God requires us to step out of our comfort zone, something many of us, myself included, don't really enjoy doing. But I want you to ask some of these young people that went to Salkehatchie this summer to tell you about their experience. Many of them will tell you it was the best week of their life, and I'll have to tell you it was the best week of my summer. It didn't take long, and I sat where y'all are year after year and heard young people and adults talk about Salkehatchie, almost to the point of it being a little routine. But bear with me. And I only got 6 pages to read, so y'all will be all right. It didn't take me long to realize as soon as I got to Somerville and started kind of seeing how this whole Salkehatchie thing came together, it didn't take long for me to realize that it was the adults and the youth that even though we were there to help people in need, and we did do that, but it was really going to be the adults and the young people that received the blessings that week. We had some real interesting dynamics going on in the home where we were working, which was a challenge, and I won't really go into any details. But the interesting thing is it gave all of us an opportunity to discuss judgment, compassion, and being very blessed and thankful for our families and our homes. The best comment I heard all week was after, I think it was maybe Thursday or Friday, and as y'all know, it's hot and it's dirty, and you're tired, and you have a carload full of kids that are about to come unglued from working in the heat. And this one little fellow in the front seat says, "Mr. Wilson, this week has really put things in perspective for me." And this young man comes from a very comfortable situation. And from what he had seen that week and what he had learned that week, it put things in perspective for all of us. On the final night at Salkehatchie, you have a service, and all the young people and adults have an opportunity to say something. The adult leaders are required to say something, and to be honest with y'all, I do not like standing in front of a bunch of people staring at me and having to say anything. But I told all these kids were great, and I told them what a pleasure and an honor it had been to spend the week with them. As y'all know, we hear a lot of negative things about the youth in our country today. And for those of you who don't have anything nice to say about our young people, I would suggest you go spend a week at Salkehatchie and get to know some of them and watch them work tirelessly and selflessly all day long in the heat for a perfect stranger. I would also like to thank Blaine for your support of this ministry, especially those of you who give individually to support Salkehatchie. After seeing firsthand how the whole ministry comes together and how it works in the lives of these young people and adults, I can promise you that your continued support and your investment in these young people is very worthwhile. I only got 5 pages to go, so y'all just bear with me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Samantha Saber, and I attended and worked Rivertown Salkehatchie, located in Conway. First, I would like to thank each and every one of you who donated funds to help send myself and other individuals that attended one of the many camps this summer. Without your support, the youth and adults would not be able to be the hands, feet, and voice of Christ to the families they are serving. On Saturday, when we arrived, the adults are assigned to which site they are to work. After the adults are assigned, the youth are then able to decide which site they feel they would be a good fit for them. On Sunday afternoon, we meet the families we are to serve for the week. We are there to meet the family, make notes of what the needs are, and ask the family what they would like to see done. We go into the family's home, something that is nothing like our own. The maturity and the compassion that the youth on my site displayed toward our family was Christ-like. They didn't see the despair, dirt, and brokenness of a house. They saw a family that they could serve. Myself and Sadie were fortunate enough to be together on Site 2, which is one of 7 sites. On our site, we had 22 youth and adults working together. That may seem like a large number of people in one place. However, there was not one person without a job to do or one person standing around wondering what to do. We had amazing, hardworking youth that went above and beyond their limits to get the job done. And with God's help, we got it done. On the outside of our family house, we replaced the extremely steep roof, rebuilt the front and back porches, put a wheelchair ramp for Mr. James on the back porch, replaced windows, painted the shutters, and cleaned up the yard. On the inside, we painted the rooms downstairs, fixed some plumbing issues in the bathroom. In the kitchen, we cleaned it up, refinished the cabinets, and replaced the ceiling. In the bedrooms, we reorganized and bought containers to store their clothes and personal items. A new vinyl floor was put into the living room, and several pieces of the new to-them furniture were placed in the bedroom and in the living room. Most of the furniture was bought and donated from very generous members of our church. Thank you. During the week, we slept on air mattresses, showered at Conway Middle School, and were fed by a number of generous people and church groups. It's always hot, dirty, and very hard work, but it is my favorite week of the summer because I get to work side by side with incredible youth being the hands and feet of Christ. Thank you.